welcome to another episode of Put It Together Podcast Live. We are sitting out here in Irvine, California. It's a beautiful, breezy day. Finally, a little nice weather. I'm sitting here with my friend Josué. Hernández, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Bien, bien. And part of today, as you guys saw on the video that I put on earlier, we are talking about
National Mental Health Minority Awareness Month.
Excellent. So we are mental health, especially in minorities, Latinos. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but today we're going to turn the tables around. We're going to do something different. Because, as I mentioned in the pre-video, in the promo earlier, I suffer from mental health issues. And Josué thought it would be a good idea if he ran the show today. So today's show is actually Put It Together Podcast Live with Josué Hernández.
Hi.
So take over.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for inviting me. I think this is a great idea. It all started with, I was reading on the internet that the National Alliance on Mental Illness posted that July is the National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So I posted something on my social media that you later inquired, and that's how this idea of having a live podcast with you and how you invited me came about.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. After reading that post by the National Alliance of Mental Illness, I learned that I have my notes right here, and about 1 in 5 U.S. adults live with a mental illness. So I think that's something.
That's a big number.
Important. Yeah, it's something that we should talk about. So after you sharing that you have experienced mental health challenges, I'd be interested to ask you some questions.
Sure. Now I want to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but that's probably because I've had a stressful couple of days. But just want to say, for those of you that have watched some of the other videos that I posted, like last minute videos on awareness days, you can thank this guy because he is the one that will post something. Hey, it's National Something Day, and I'll be like, oh, I guess I have to do a video. And so he's kept me on my toes for the last couple of months, making videos and talking to people. So, but if you qualify, if you are under any of the awareness days that are coming up, check your calendars. Let me know, and we'll have you in an interview. So here we go.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, now that I've told you that I've read that July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and that 1 in 5 people experience a mental health condition, what does mental health mean to you?
Mental health. I didn't realize what mental health was until like a couple of years ago. Folks know my story. The clip of it is I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic, and I used to think that, and we're outside, folks, so if it gets a little noisy, it's because we're outside. But I used to think that there was no such thing as alcoholism or drug addiction, really. That I could stop anytime, and I could drink. I drank because it was the cultural thing to do, not realizing that alcoholism and drug addictions are mental health problems. So I thought I'd only been suffering from it since my cancer a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. But I've been suffering with mental health issues since I was a teenager. So to actually have a month where we can talk about it, or rather to learn to talk about it so that we can share it the rest of the year, I think it's really important.
Yeah. You just mentioned something very important of alcohol and culture. Why do you think it's important to think about mental health in the minority communities?
Because obviously in the Latino community we're not, we don't have mental health issues. We're just overworked, underpaid, stressed out. Whatever excuse we can make about not seeking help. Kind of the same thing as medical treatments. We'll go for the vapor rub and any other treatment we can think of rather than go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I think you're not, I could hear my parents saying, you're not depressed, get a job. You're not depressed, you just need something to do. Go find a hobby. Ve corta la yarda. Go cut the yard and you won't be depressed anymore. You're just bored. So I think I learned to sweep it under the rug. And I think especially in the Latino community, we don't want to face the facts because it makes it easier to not have to deal with them.
Yeah, that's important. And just going back to your first comment of where you said that it's been recent about how you've been more aware about mental health and the importance. Can you walk us through as to how did you get to that point of realizing why mental health and taking care of mental health is important in your life?
Yeah, again, part of my story, for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with anal cancer on Cinco de Mayo, that's how Mexican I am, on the 5th of May of 2015. And because it was anal cancer and I just had hernia surgery, it wasn't easy for me to drive. So I was depending on Christian, my boyfriend. I'll wait for the plane to go by. By the way, we're very near the airport too. Could we have found the most noisiest place in the world? Yes, we did. But if you guys can't hear us, let us know and we'll get closer. So I wasn't driving because of the hernia, and I wasn't driving because of the anal cancer, and then the stoma. So there was all these circumstances that caused me to stay home and depend on friends, Uber, my boyfriend, whatever. So with that, that's the disclaimer. So I would sit home and watch TV, and I stopped podcasting, I stopped blogging, I stopped writing other than Facebook posts or sharing stuff. I wasn't doing anything. My day consisted of sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee and cookies, watching killer shows, something on a Discovery ID, and I would have my phone, my tablet, my laptop, and my Surface, and they were all on Candy Crush. And I would play one game and lose lives, and then I'd go to the next one, then go to the next one, go to the next one, and that was my day. When I was done, I'd come back, and if I needed to wait, I'd make another cup of coffee and more cookies, and that was my day. And I realized at one point, this can't be right, because everybody kept telling me, oh, you're just recovering, you're recuperating, give yourself some time. But I thought, knowing me before cancer and knowing me after cancer, that wasn't right. There was something wrong, not in my body, up here. And on my doctor's visit, I went and talked to him, and I told him, hey, this is going on, and I can't get out of that funk. And I didn't shower for 2 days, and I wasn't taking care of my stomach. And he's like, I think you're depressed. And it was finally somebody said it. Rather than somebody say, es que estás cansado, you're just tired, you've been through a lot, don't worry about it. Somebody finally said, you're depressed. And I was like, yes, that's what's going on. And all those years that I've been depressed and anxious, somebody finally acknowledged it after all these years.
Have you thought about it before having an external person telling you, a doctor telling you that?
Yeah. I thought about it other times. I went on meds one time, but they were just too strong for me. And it was a time when I was really busy and wanted to do a lot of things. And all they did was I wanted to just be on the couch and sleep. So I went off of them. But then I thought, I'm not depressed. Because if I was depressed, these medicines would have worked, and they didn't work. So I'm not. So that was about 5 years ago.
Okay. Up until 2 years ago when you said it became sort of like more important in your life? Okay.
I wasn't thinking clearly. But that's one thing that I had to learn, to talk to somebody. And we'll get to that part. But I was imagining ways that I could die without being suicide, so that I wasn't hurting anymore. Like I always thought, what if I go to the bank and there's a robbery and I'm the brave guy that chases the robbers and then they shoot me? Like I died a hero. Or there's a fire and I go in and try to save people and I don't come out. What a hero, you know what I mean? Like not the best thoughts, of course. But then I thought something's wrong because I'm not that guy.
How was it for you seeking help?
I'd been through therapy for my age. I've been to therapy for alcohol and drugs. I even went to therapy when I first came out. But I hadn't been to therapy for cancer. And I almost died a couple of times during my cancer treatment during that year. And I hadn't talked about that. So, not that I think I'm immortal, because I'm not. I definitely believe I have 9 lives. But it was, I say the word cool. It was cool to talk to somebody who understood what physical pain was like with cancer. Somebody who understood what a stoma was, because not a lot of therapists know about that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of body issues. There were a lot of mind issues. I'm still not there, so I'm at therapy again. But now I'm going to therapy because I've been diagnosed with diabetes. So I go to a therapist. But this is the first time I go to a therapist who is Hispanic, male, younger, and understands not necessarily the stoma, but he understands diabetes, he understands the culture, he understands the religion. So it's been easier. So I guess my suggestion on that is when you're looking for a therapist, find somebody that has similarities, because it's going to make it easier. I don't have to explain what the chancla was. I don't have to explain what it was to have to go to church when as a gay man, I felt like I didn't belong there. Like, he gets it. So when you're looking for a therapist, make sure that you find somebody that understands not just the reason you're going, but your background and your culture and your religion.
Good. That's a lot to take. So you were saying, our culture plays an important role in terms of how we relate within our family members and our family dynamics. How did you disclose to your family that you were seeking mental health support, professional mental health support?
Let me wait for the truck to leave. Which, by the way, I'm obsessed with pickup trucks, and there's a pickup truck just leaving. So there you go.
A big pickup truck.
Once a Texas boy, always a Texas boy.
I'm also a Texas, which is true.
Which is funny because I drive a Scion, which has nothing to do with Texas.
Complete opposite.
Yeah. I didn't tell my family until after I was seeking treatment.
Okay.
Once I was on medication and I was doing better, then I let them know, like, I've been on meds for a little while. I'm a lot better. I'm not as frantic. I'm not as controlling. Although it depends on who you talk to, they might say I still am. I'm more clear-headed. Pero here's the thing. It made me aware of all the things that my family, the echo of my parents' voices, commitment to your parents, make sure you call them, make sure you're there for them. But then my mom has Alzheimer's, and my dad has the beginning stages of dementia, so it's not easy to have a conversation with them. So it's that guilt, like, how am I available and supportive to my parents when I don't know how to take care of them? So then I feel guilty, and then I know God's going to punish me for that, and then medicine can't be good for you, and it starts a cycle. Just last night, we were in Texas over the weekend, and I didn't get to see my parents, so I feel guilty for that. My sister's house, unfortunately, was caught in the floods, so she's dealing with that. I feel guilty because I was leaving her with all that, with no way to help. I mean, what can you possibly do? I'm not a construction worker. I wouldn't know what to do. So I didn't see my parents. I didn't I didn't get to help my sister the way I wanted. I kind of had a little argument with my other sister. So it all kind of escalated on the way home. I kept thinking about it. By the time I got to Laguna Beach from LAX, I had a migraine. In my head, my mom, I was never going to see her again, because something was going to happen to her. And the last time I saw her was the last time in Christmas. What a bad son I was. I'm so horrible because I didn't get to talk to her. And just all of these things. Like, by the end of the night, I was the most horrible person in the world, which depressed me, which then made me anxious because I knew some of those things were not true. And I still had a migraine, so it was like, finally I took ibuprofen and went to bed. And this morning I still woke up a little, with a headache, but I figured what better time to talk about it than here.
Yeah, well, that's a lot. And actually, it brings me to my follow-up question, which you told me a little bit before we started, of how you cope, at least in this situation yesterday. But how do you cope with mental health?
How do I cope
with your mental health?
For me, work is an escape. It's a temporary fix. It's kind of like using one of those fix-a-flats on your tire. It didn't fix the tire, but it gets you to where you need to go.
Okay.
So if I get on my computer and I edit a video, I do an interview, whatever, it gets me out for a little moment. But that helps me because while I'm out of my problems, it's kind of like the give, keep, and maybe pile. The keep pile is the problems that I can fix, that I have some control over it. The gives are the ones where I'm worried about other people. Como está este? How's she doing? How's he doing? I haven't called so-and-so. I need to message this. How's my mom doing? Those are things I can't control at the moment. I don't know how they're doing. I'll give them a call later. So then I can move some things to the maybe pile. And those are things that I need help fixing, that I can't fix by myself. Therapy, my doctor, friends. And when it comes to friends, I have social media. I live on social media. So last night, one of those coping mechanisms was go on Facebook and go, I'm not feeling well. This is just, I'm not feeling it. And this is where Facebook does a great job, because people can support you from all over the world and be like, hey, I'm here with you. Here's my phone number. Call me. What do you need? And then people were messaging me, so I had like 4 or 5 messages going on, explaining what was going on and why I got there. So that completely, and by the end of the conversations, I was like, oh wow, the only thing that I have control over right now is taking care of my migraine. That's it. I can't talk to my mom right now, so forget about that. Let's put it aside. That's a maybe. My sister, it's her house. She has kids. They're helping her out. All I can do is send her my support. Other than that, I'm not going to grab a hammer and go help. So I was able to sort out my keep, give, and maybe pile. Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. So today I feel better-ish. Better-ish. I'm not 100%, but I'll go home and edit this video and put titles on it and put it on YouTube. And that'll get me out of my head a little more.
Good. So it sounds like keeping yourself busy helps you to find an outlet to cope. What are some other positive outlets that you use in order to cope?
Well, I definitely already have an appointment with my therapist next Tuesday. We have an ongoing Tuesday appointment right now. So that's where I'm seeking somebody else's help. Because I need him to... He's really cool that he'll actually say, okay, you know that's just bullshit, right? I'm like, yes. So he calls me out on my crap, which is good. Other positive things, eating well, eating when I'm supposed to. I haven't eaten anything since last night.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's not good because my sugar drops. I start feeling sick. I start feeling bad.
Yeah.
So as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go eat. Promise. So eating well, drinking lots of water because I am diabetic, so I need to drink lots of water. I'm not horrible at that. I did drink a glass of water before I left the house this morning. So therapist, eating well, staying hydrated, not isolating. And that's why I'm going to go out to eat instead of taking food home, so that I can be around people and not feel alone. And then realizing that I'm not alone. I choose to be alone at home because I like watching TV by myself, but I'm not lonely because I could call any of 100 friends that I have that are always available. And I'll say that this is I think the most important thing is doing my best to not talk myself out of calling somebody. Because we hear people saying, if you need anything, call me. And 100 people can tell you that. And 100 people, in my head, I'll be like, they're lying. They don't want to hear about me. Because I'm usually the strong one. People come to me. How are they going to, they can't help me. And then by the end of it, I've sat there for an hour stressing and believing that 100 people have liked me. And that's where the post-traumatic stress disorder, because of my health issues, kicks in. It tells me that nobody really cares about me. And that's when it gets really sad.
So Daniel, you've talked about what you do to cope, sort of the cultural dynamics, dealing with the dynamics with your family, in terms of revealing your need for professional help. What recommendation would you have for someone who's maybe considering, hey, maybe things are not completely okay with myself, maybe I do need to seek out to call a friend or seek professional help? What recommendations would you give?
First off, hold on, we got planes and helicopters. I think they know we're out here, people. If you see cops behind us, somebody send us a message. The first thing, and it's hard to put them in order, but I'm going to throw them as I remember them. First, follow your gut. Follow your gut. If your gut tells you these thoughts are not normal, what I'm thinking is not right. If a friend of mine was thinking that, I would help them. Then seek some professional help. If you have a primary doctor, primary physician, go to your primary and say, hey, something's going on. Can I get a referral? Can you send me to someone? Do you know anybody? They'll usually have a connection with somebody that can help you first. Second, don't let your family talk you out of, and I'll use this term because this is what you'll probably hear. No estás loco, you're not crazy. You just need to get a hobby. You need to do something with your life. You're not crazy. Those are valid feelings, and we don't validate a lot of feelings, especially like in the Latino community. We feel happy, we feel sad, so we celebrate. That's it. There's no other validation for other feelings. But know that you're validated. Don't do WebMD. Don't Google your symptoms, because by the end of it, you'll probably have cancer, because that's what they end up telling you all the time. So don't do that. But there's great resource pages. There's meetups. There's online meetup pages that you can join, and you can talk to people that have been through it and can acknowledge. I have been able to talk to some people, and especially teenagers, who are like, oh, I feel this way, I feel that way, I think I'm depressed. And by the end of it, I'm like, no, you're just a teenager and you're just growing through things. It's normal. You're going through like boyfriend ordeals.
But it's good that they're talking about it.
It's good. No, definitely. Yeah, no, don't not talk about it. You want to clear your mind from it. Because like in my case, it wasn't just teenage angst, it was also depression. But talk to somebody. If you don't know where to go, who to talk to, what to say, we're here. Reach out to one of us, and the links and our information will be at the end of the video. But I have to go back. Oh, and when you go to therapy, be honest. Don't go to therapy and say what you think your therapist wants to hear you say. Because then they're helping this fictional character that you're making up. Just as honest as I am here, I'm honest in therapy. I don't think I ever edit anything. you've known me for a little while. I don't think I edit very well. Everything just blurts out. But be honest with your therapist. He's there to help you, not hurt you. And if you, that's one of the best relationships you're gonna have. And they're gonna help you walk through a lot of doors. And they have the map. Just follow them. You know, talk about your feelings, emotions, anxieties, but they have the map. Listen to what they say. They're going to be good. And then the last thing I can say about family is stand your ground. Don't let them sway you. Be an oak tree, not a palm tree. If that makes sense. An oak tree stands firm, and a palm tree sways with the wind. So always be an oak tree. Don't be a palm tree. And that's going to help you out. But honestly, I'm here for you. If you wonder about some of those symptoms or some things that you're going through, we can talk about it. And I won't tell you if you're depressed or not, but I will help you discover whether you're depressed or not.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I do want to go back.
Like you said, there's always resources.
Yeah.
Family can also be a great resource when, you know, feeling maybe emotionally challenged or going through difficulty. But like you said, maybe growing up in a minority family, it can be stigmatized.
Yeah.
Talking about emotions and mental health.
Yeah. And before I almost forgot, there are alternatives that I do with my medication. I'm an antidepressant. I take it because I know it's keeping me balanced. But I add to that meditation, crystals and stones for healing. I do essential oils on my body to relax me. Like last night I did a bunch of lavender oil and it really calmed me down. CBD oils and powders. I actually have a CBD chili powder. Mexicano, you can't get me out. But what I do is when I'm feeling stressed, I will put it on some fruit.
Yeah.
And I'll sit on the couch. It's one of my favorite things to do. Watermelon.
Sit on the couch.
Yeah, sit on the couch, watermelon and you know, sandía con chile.
Yeah.
And so, but now it's got a little bit of that CBD powder. So I'm working on my computer, watching TV, on the couch, eating my watermelon with my powders, and everything's relaxing, everything's calm. So
that's great.
Yeah. So, but I know people want to do one or the other.
Yeah.
My truth. What works for me is both things.
Exactly.
Both things.
You complement that.
Yeah.
And those are great examples of what works for you, like you said, for coping mechanisms, right? Because life is not easy. But thank you so much, Daniel. I mean, for full disclosure, I'm not a professional. These questions that I asked are actually questions that I personally had for Daniel.
Yeah.
Because as you've shared over time, as I've gotten to know you, you've been open about your life experiences, and these are questions that I personally had for you.
Thank you.
And
wow.
so
Good questions.
Thank you. And so you've been able to have Facebook Live and your podcast involved to, be further, share your story with others that might benefit, that might feel like they're the only ones going through a certain circumstance, that they might need mental health support. I hope they hear your example. There's always challenges, but there's also always resources out there.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, thank you so much for chiming in. If you saw the promo, thank you for coming on. There's a lot of you on here, so I'm really happy. As Jose just said, you're not alone. And I can say this for myself. When I'm in that hole, in that black hole, or walking through that dark part of the tunnel, I definitely feel like I'm the only one that has ever gone through all this. But that common sense or the knowledge that I've gathered for myself reminds me that I'm not the only one, that somebody else is going through this. So if you're sitting there watching this, or if you please do us a favor and share this with friends so they can see it too, just know that you're not alone. There are people out here. We're all unique, but we're very similar in some of our tragedies and problems. And if you're wondering, like, where did all this come from? Well, for those of you that are new to the page or will be following us, I came out when I was 17. I started drinking when I was 15, drugs when I was 20, AIDS when I was 30. I sobered up when I was 36. cancer at 45, stoma at 46, and diabetes at 47, and depression, anxiety along the way. So let me tell you, Mother Teresa and I, right there. But so as you can see, there's a lot of things that I can associate with you, and we have some similarities. And again, if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, and you're like, hey, I want to talk to Josué, where can they find you?
So I work at Radiant Health Centers, and it's a nonprofit here in Orange County. It's the largest service provider to people infected and affected by HIV and AIDS in the county. And Radiant Health Centers is expanding its services to embrace the LGBT community in Orange County. And our goal is Radiant Health Centers' goal is to get to 0 new HIV infections, 0 deaths, and 0 discrimination. And mental health is a service that is available for people that are either that are infected by the virus or identify as LGBTQ, regardless of their HIV status. Mental health is available for them.
Excellent. So as you can see, if you are in the Orange County area here in California, in Southern California, and you think that you and you think that you might need or want some mental health, get in touch with these guys. I'll put the information when I edit the video so that you guys can connect with them. Even if you get in touch with Josué, he can direct you to the right people. Just know that everybody is welcome there. I've been a client of Radiant from the days of AIDS Services Foundation. So I've been with them for about 9 years now. And I'm also a volunteer, so maybe you see me speaking out there somewhere. So I don't recommend them just as a client, but as a colleague, I guess, a volunteer. So please check them out. I'll put the information. Can you just give them the website so that they know?
So it's radianthealthcenters.org.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure, sir.
And hope we can do it again.
We will. We have more to talk about. Plus, you're good.
Thank you.
Please send some comments and some hellos to Josué so that he knows that you appreciate his work.
Send some love.
And again, this is Daniel Garza, host of Put It Together Podcast Live, coming to you from Irvine, California. We're sitting outside, so please excuse some of the outside noise. I will do my best to maybe transcribe this whole interview, and that way you guys can read some of it. But if I don't for a while, turn off the volume, put on some earbuds. I want to thank you all for joining. We will see you next time. Thank you, Josué.
Thank you.
For Radiant Health Services and Put It Together Podcast and at Moment Entertainment, this is Daniel Garza saying, hey, put it together.